Hello everyone, my name is Anu and I work as a technical product manager. Today I'll be presenting an approach of building a predictive model, an ML model for identifying customer defaults in utility business. This presentation is part of my final submission for the course Managing Machine Learning Projects by Duke University. In this presentation, we'll see an approach how machine learning can help utility companies mitigate financial risk. Okay, so first we'll start with the opportunity evaluation. The problem statement is reduce the financial impact for utility business companies due to customer defaults. A customer default is a situation when a customer fails to pay the bills and it causes a significant financial and operational threat to any of the utility companies. But the impact varies depending on the several other factors such as regulations, customer assistance program, and the business model for the utility provider. So at a high level, we'll see uh, the how the different areas get impacted within this business. So the financial impact is when the revenue lost due to cash inflow disruption, affecting operational and the capital expenditures. It causes increased collection cost for the recovery of money from the customers who are failing to pay the bills on time or completely failing to pay the bills. The regulatory and the legal constraints from the government side to support people who are failing to pay the bills for the right reason or due to their financial conditions or so. So limited disconnection rights. There are certain laws which prohibits the disconnection of the services for the customers who are failing to pay the bills due to the extreme weather conditions. The billing regulations, utility must follow strict customer protection laws, making it harder to enforce payments. Rate case adjustment is the situation where the public utility commissions bring up certain provisions for the customers who are failing to pay the bill. So they come to an agreement value, which is a fixed value, which a customer can pay in order to clear the bills which they are getting. And credit rating and investor confidence is the debt recovery challenges. That's a high default rate can hurt the utilities credit rating because utility businesses they will also be taking money as financial support from different financial institutions, and if these type of customer defaults, if it keeps on increasing, then it will impact the credit worthiness of the business. So infrastructure and investment delays. So most of these utility businesses, they make the service better or enhance the infrastructure which they are having from the money they will be making from the customer who are supposed to pay the bill. So it impacts their infrastructure investment. Now, in order to address these problems or to mitigate the customer default problem, there are certain ways which can be followed. Regulatory cost recovery mechanism, where decoupling of policies can be done, which will allow the utility companies to recover the lost revenue through specific rate adjustment. There are certain reports published by S&P Global in US across the different states how such type of decoupling policies were implemented. So you can refer for more details at this link. And bad debt bad debt surcharges, where the utilities pass default cost across their customer base through surcharges in order to even out the total amount which the company is expecting. And this approved by the regulator. And the assistance program and payment plan. So, low income home energy assistance program that aids this aid help low income households to pay for the energy bill. Budget billing and the payment plans help customers manage seasonal bill fluctuation, means based on the season's conditions and all. Though there will be a variance in the bill for the services which they are using in such conditions. And prepaid metering and smart billing. Some utilities are introducing prepaid energy meters to reduce the default by requiring upfront payment so that customer will be using within the limit allotted to them. Customer risk profiling, it's where we can take help of ML models to predict the default risk and enabled targeted interventions where we can reach out to those customers early and talk about the assistance programs and the cost recovery mechanism so that instead of getting nothing, company can still manage to get a portion of the money which the customer is supposed to pay. So, in order to identify or in order to predict whether a customer will get defaulted or not, we can leverage the capability of machine learning. So, machine learning opportunity identification of this problem statement. Is there a problem? Yes, there is a problem with how the situation of a customer defaults is handled. It is more of a reactive approach as of today, in which the companies get to know after the event of a non-payment has happened for a particular bill cycle. So, can ML help to solve this problem? Yes. This is classification problem, which we can, which in which we are trying to basically find out whether the customer will get defaulted or not. And machine learning prediction model can help in predicting the customer defaults. These prediction can be leveraged. These prediction can be leveraged to minimize the impact of these defaults, customer defaults, by offering customized adjustments and special service offerings or aids, which we saw in the previous slides. So, does anyone care? Yes, the utility company cares about the different ways so that they can minimize the risk and the loss of revenue. If they can identify the defaulting the customer which is having a high probability of getting default, so these aid programs can be introduced to them so that if not 100%, then at least a partial amount of that money can be recovered from those customers. So this approach will help the companies to forecast the cash inflow and plan the future service improvement to serve the customers better so that they can make some level of expectation that what will be the cash flow if they know if they know beforehand that how many customers may get defaulted in a particular billing cycle. And yeah, it's also give the availability of such information or data or the output from such a model can help the utility companies to come up with some unique products, a personalized plan they can bring up for the customers based on their usage patterns and the statistics in historical values, and they can predict the impact of outages in those areas where these services are being used by the customers. And there are many more use cases which can which can be addressed using this modeling problem. Okay, so in order to understand the business problem, we will be using the CRIS DM business understanding model. So as per the CRIS DM approach, in order to have a clear understanding of the business problem, we should have answers to the questions which we'll be seeing now. So who's the target user? So utility business companies which are providing services like water, electricity, gas, they can use this model to predict the default customer or a customer default. What's the problem? So problem is that we want to minimize the financial loss due to customer default, that is non-payment of bill. And why it matters? It matters to the financial. It matters to the utility company because it reduces their cash flow and it impacts the quality of the service, as we saw earlier. That if the companies don't have money or cash inflow, they cannot utilize or they cannot implement something new or enhance the infrastructure which they are already having to serve the customers. So, what is the current state? Business get to know about a customer default very late in the cycle, and this leads to engaging with the customer in follow-ups where the company is checking with them that when they will be paying for the service which they have used. That will increase the operational cost, where the company has to employ the recovery agent who will be contacting the customer to get the same level of details and sometimes request for the recovery money. So this is involving more and more people or a process engagement in order to recover that money if a customer is getting default. And this leads to a less investment in building a better quality of service and a stagnant customer experience for those who are paying the bill. Means the people who are already paying the bill, they may not see any service improvement from the company side or from the business side because business is already having um, deficit of money or deficit of cash inflow because of the default customers. So in this series of questions, another one is expected impact. So what's the expected impact of this model? So proactively predict the default and offer the aid to customers to minimize the loss of the utility company and post uh, forecast a projected cash inflow. They can make a projection if they know that what will be the amount of value which will be coming in. So the metrics is that what matrices we can use in order to see the success or identify the success of this model. So the outcome metrics can be reduce financial loss and better cash inflow, a reduced operational cost of engaging recovery agencies, a reduced service termination for the customers who are not paying the bills and the customer retention. Output metrics, which is expected as an output of the model, is the accuracy, precision recall, FN score. If uh, imbalance data is there, then we should prefer FN score over accuracy and AUC ROC score. So targets. So targets for this model will be identifying or predicting the customer defaults. Output will be a binary classification where we will have a Boolean values 1 or 0, 1 for default, 0 for non-default, and a probability score, which is basically a likelihood of defaults for the risk-based interventions. What are the constraints in this? model development and the maintenance, infrastructure cost, availability of the data, and changing customer laws with respect to non-payments. So the solution validation plan. Before we answer that, we should see the solution concept. We will, as part of this, we will build a binary classification machine learning model, which is generally a Boolean value one or zero, and we will generate a prediction score to find the likelihood of the defaults. So, as part of this process for data collection and cleaning, we will be collecting the data from every possible source. That is from the utility company who's holding the data of the customer, the historical data, uh, primary and secondary. So primary is where the company who wants to predict the probability of defaults. And the secondary can be for the same customer if they're using services or the utility from different utility company. Let's say one company, a customer is taking a gas service. From the another company, a customer is taking a water service. So if we have data from these two different domains, that will be really helpful. And the government data or the credit history of the customer to just to know that if the existing customer is already under debt or they are doing good financially as well. As part of this, we will be splitting the data into 70, 10, and 10 percentage for training, validation, and testing the model. So defining the performance metrics for this particular model. So let's consider that if we have a balanced data, so we expect that the accuracy should be 90% and above. And if it is not balanced data, then we will not consider the accuracy metrics and we'll consider the other metrics like precision recall and F1 score, where the expectation will be that it should be above 80% and 90% and above. Along with this, we will be looking into a AUC ROC a value which is higher than, I mean, which is close to one. We will be considering, I mean, that will be ideal condition where this area under curve value is coming closer to one. So the ML system design, with respect to the ML system design, we will be considering the below aspects. So this is not a real-time prediction which we are doing. So we will prefer a cloud infrastructure or a platform where we will be developing, training, and testing the model. So cloud platform is the best suited for this particular case. Online versus offline learning. We are not doing any real-time predictions, so we will prefer an offline learning, which will best suit the case. Batch versus online prediction. For the binary classification problem, we will be using batch in this particular case, as it will be periodic schedule in nature, these prediction, and it won't be a real-time on the fly sort of a use case. So what are the potential risks when this model goes to production? So there are some potential risk in the production with this approach. It can be categorized as a, let's say, a model prediction failure or a model ML system processing cost. So there can be cases where the predictions are not correct because of, it could be of various reason. It is possible that the training, when we were training the model on the data, training data, and when we are validating that in the test data, we received the good results. However, in the production, when the new data is arrived, the error rate is going high, which is basically a false positive because it's a classification problem. Increase in false positive may lead the utility companies to reach out to the customer with reminders, adjustment proposals, and plan suggestion. because that's what's the main essence of this model, to help companies identify the defaults, and company can reach out to the customer and propose for these plans so that they can minimize the loss. But if we are getting more number of false positives, this may lead to a customer dissatisfaction. So as per our system design, as we are opted for a cloud processing, which can increase our model running cost and the maintenance cost, because in the cloud we have to pay for the high-end services that we are using. So as the data grows over a period of time, the cost of data storage on the cloud will go high. Um, I mean, as we keep on gathering more and more information. So these are the some couple of points which I can think of could be a potential risk when we move this model to production. Yeah, so just to summarize again, as part of this presentation, I have presented an approach which can be used by utility companies where they can identify the probability of customer getting default so that they can come up with the aid for the customers by having adjustment to the current payment, or using different aid plans so that they can minimize the risk, and they can do it proactively uh, rather than identifying things at the very end when the customer has already been defaulted. Thank you, everyone. If you have any queries, you can reach out to me on my email, nag.anup@outlook.com. Thank you, everyone.